Hey, what's cracking? I hope this video finds you sitting pretty. I hope everything is going your way today. If you haven't ever watched one of my videos, my name's Ricky Dye, and I went to prison when I was 15 years old, and I was there for over 20 years. I didn't get out till I was almost 35. And so I was 15 when the crime happened, and then I got certified and sent to prison with grown men. And if you catch up with my story from the very beginning, I start at the beginning with what happened, how it was, all the way through. By the time I'm through, you'll know everything about what it was like for me to grow up in prison. And in a couple of weeks during a live, I'm going to have a video with me and my mom. And we're both going to answer your questions. Last week I had a problem with a live. I've checked it and I can go live now. So this Sunday at 7 o'clock, I'll be doing a live. And I hope that you guys will drop in and join me. And today I want to jump right back into my story here in just a second. When I first was setting up the channel, I've been learning as I go on the membership thing. The only way I could figure out how to do it was $2.99 for a membership to let the book reading and that one live a month and the loyalty badges. But I figured out how to do it now. There's two levels. There's the writers and the dyers. And the dyer is spelled D-Y-E-E-R. And that's $2.99 for the dyers and 99 cents for the writer. That's as cheap as I can make it, 99 cents a month if you decide to do that. Shout out to Benno the trainer. He was going to shoot some money to me, asked me how could he support the channel, wanted to send some money. And I told him I'd rather him just join the channel so he wouldn't just be one person on there. And that person is John Doe. He sent some money to support the channel, and he also is a dyer on the channel. So shout out to them. Now I want to jump right back into my story today. I don't want to hem-haw around. So I left you in the last video with me in lockup, four-pointed, butt naked on a cement slab. So I had thrown a fit in my cell because I didn't get my medicine on time. They had me on psychotropics. They had me on way higher of a dose than I should have been on, I found out later. And they basically was just trying to control me through psychotropics, just trying to lay me down where I wouldn't cause trouble. And I got tripping on it, and I didn't get my medicine right when I felt like I should have got it. And I flooded my cell out with a wool blanket, and I got it running all the way down on the bottom run. Because back then, Crabtree, it's a two-story building, old school two-story building. And there's only 6 cells that are for lockup. And there's one here that I'm in that's a single cell, and one straight across from me where they four-pointed me at. I was over here when I flooded it. And then there's 4 along this wall, and they all face that way. And so when you're four-pointed down, they can keep you four-pointed for 12 hours if they feel the need. And you can strap like that with your legs spread, your arms spread, handcuffed to this cement slab, laying there naked. And a nurse will sit beside you. And every 15 minutes, she has to sign a paper saying that she's there checking on you and you're okay. And of all the things I've been through, the shitting in a bag in front of people, strip search, that was the most humiliated I've ever been, was laying there in front of those nurses. It was hot in those cells, thank goodness, but I was so embarrassed, man, that my shit crawled up inside me. Shit, I was very ashamed and embarrassed laying there that way. And I don't know how anybody couldn't be. So just after that, they take me, and after laying there for 12 hours, they put me back across there in my cell. And because I acted a fool, they took my blanket and my sheet. All they let me have was a mattress. You don't get a pillow. You get a little mattress about that thick, and it lays on a concrete slab in that cell that I'm in. I'm in a single cell, and they've taken everything from me. I'm getting regular trays. Thank goodness I'm not getting the loaf. If you've watched the video about the loaf, thank goodness I'm not getting that. I'm getting a regular tray. And now in these cells, you've got a window, window that has a door on it that you could open and close and see out. But the guards are dicks and they close them so you can't see out. But the bean hose are only about 5.5 inches tall, and they're about 12 inches long, about 12 to 8 inches, 18 inches. That's about 18 inches long, and they slide your trays through them. And usually, if they don't leave them open, we'll jam paper or something in there. So when they slam them shut, it sounds locked, but you can push it back open after the guards leave, because you're locked down in your cell. There's no one up there watching you. There's no guards up there. They just come around every 4 or 5 hours and make sure you're still in your cell. So there's no one up there watching you. So we've rigged our bean hose, and we got our bean hose open. And there was a guy that came to lock up, and the guy in this far cell down here on this end, he has some tobacco, but he don't have a light. But this guy over here, this guy over here, 2 doors down from me, has a Bible. Okay, the way that they roast cigarettes in lockup, the little Getty Bibles about that tall, about that wide, those little brown Bibles you see everywhere, they'll tear the pages out of those, especially the ones that don't have any writing on them. But some people will say the best way they can get the word into them is to smoke it. I don't agree with that, but people do, man. So they take those sheet out of that Bible, and they use it to put tobacco in and roll it up. Usually they'll take the sticky off the envelope and lick that envelope and then put it on that Bible paper, and that'll make it stick. And there's another guy that's got a pencil, and he's got it rigged up to his light with a little piece of wire where he can get a spark and get a light. But there's 3 different cells that have this stuff, and we can't get to each other, okay? So what happens is, this story is about a little guy named Crash Test Dummy. That's what we call him, Crash Test Dummy. He was a little young guy, a little white guy, and he was running around. He was always trying to fit in, and people would always have him doing crazy shit, man. Things that a normal person wouldn't do. You could tell he was off. And instead of people feeling sorry for him, they took advantage of him. And they say, I bet you won't go do this, Crash Test Dummy. You ain't got a hair on your ass if you don't do this, Crash Test Dummy. And they're juicing him up into going and doing stupid shit. And that's why everybody's calling him Crash Test Dummy. So they always say if you can get your head through something, you can get your body through. And that's what everybody's saying up there. So we're trying to talk Crash Test Dummy into trying to get his head through his beanhole, trying to get his body through there, get out on the run around in the cells, get this from this guy, give it all that guy, let him light the cigarette, let him smoke half of it, and he can run the other over there and let them guys get a puff. And if he'll do that, they'll let him smoke on it too. So be 4 of them sharing this little bit of tobacco rolled up in this Bible paper. And they talk Crash Test Dummy into trying to do this. And he actually gets his body through the beanhole. But it gets him all scraped up on his sides. He almost got stuck halfway coming out. But he gets out. It was the funniest shit I ever seen. So he gets it. He gets out of the cell. He's running out there. So remember, we're in lockdown. He's escape charge for that. But he don't realize that. He's just doing what these guys have juiced him into doing. And that's something people do to you on the streets, but you can guarantee that they're going to do it in prison. People are going to try to find ways to press your buttons, to get you to do things that normally you wouldn't do. So I have a juice button. I have one this big, but no one can push it but me. If I decide that you've done something that I have to do something to you for, if you've got see, in prison, out here now, you can say anything you want to say to people on social media. There's no consequences. But in prison, if someone even gets sarcastic with you, you can't let that slide. You let someone get sarcastic with you today, they'll be taking your canteen tomorrow, or making you give them a blowjob, or no telling what else. You cannot let people get away with anything. Okay? But they're juicing Crash Test Dummy and doing this, and he's got out here and he's got cell to cell, and they've shared this cigarette. Now he's going to go get back in his cell, and he gets halfway and gets stuck. And they cannot get him in that cell, cannot get him back in the cell, can't get him all the way back out of the cell. And sure enough, he gets stuck there so long, the guards come and catch him stuck halfway through the beanhole trying to get back in his cell. And they even can't get him loose. So they end up getting medical up there. They end up putting baby oil and Vaseline all over him and pulling him on through into the cell again. And he is all messed up. So medical has to come in there and look at him. He is scraped up everywhere. People cannot believe that he was able to get through that beanhole. You're not supposed to be able to get through that beanhole, but he just had a thin head, and he was a little bitty guy, probably weighed 125 or 30 pounds. Unbelievably, he got through, but he couldn't get back into his cell. So now they've told him that they're going to file charges on him for escape. And as soon as they tell him that, he's only doing a little bitty sentence. He's going to go home. If they put escape on him, they can give him more time. And once they told him that, he flips out. He starts flooding his cell like he's seen me doing. So he floods his cell and everything. And now they're going to come in there on him with electric shield just like they did me. So, but Crash Test Dummy's not me. They start telling him, hey, Crash Test Dummy, I know what you can do. So they won't run in and grab you like they did Ricky Dye. What can I do? How can I do it? So he's going to tore up everything in the cell. He did worse than me. I just flooded the toilets, but he's tore up his light. He's ripped up his mattress. He's trying to do everything he can now to throw a fit on them. So they say, I'll tell you what you can do, take a shit and rub it all over you, and they won't want to touch you. So he decides to do it. So he takes a shit, rubs it all over him. Then they come in there with that electric shield, and they were going to come in there and hit him with it. And he got scared because he was standing in water and surrendered. So now they've took him over there and 4-pointed him where they had me. But he's got shit all over him. They did not even clean it off for him. So he had to lay there for 12 hours with that shit on him. And he was over there going, oh man, this is so bad. I can't believe y'all talked me into doing this. And that is a perfect example of letting someone talk you into doing something to make it worse for you, man. He did all that to get a hit off a cigarette to try to fit in with these guys. And he ended up getting shipped to McAllister over that. They filed escape charges on him for escaping from DU. It's a secure area. Someone had to go for the guards couldn't explain how that happened. So someone had to get punished for it, period. So they made an example of him. Yeah, but I've never, ever heard of anyone getting through their beanhole that way, but that one time. So the next thing I want to tell you, now I got out of lockup. I ended up getting out of lockup, and he put me back on the yard there at Crabtree. And I have a little black friend named Squab. He was from Shotgun, little Squab. Me and him was so tight, we was going to get a tattoo on our side with an old cowboy with a gunslinger standing back to back with modern day little black gangster with his bandana on and a little gat. And I was going to say, I got your back, Ace. But we never got it, but we were really tight. And then Floyd was still hanging around some, the guy that was with me when I jammed Moses up. And then I had a couple white guys I'm hanging out with. And one of them's name is Kane, and me and him play basketball every day. And the other one's name is Brian. And Brian don't play basketball, but I think he's cool shit. Me and him sit around, smoke weed, and we play chess together. Me and Brian and Kane mostly hang out together, but these other guys are my friends too, these black guys. But I'm hanging out with Brian and Kane, and every week Brian will get in debt to me for about $50. All right, so Shelly's been bringing me this stuff. She'll get in debt to me every week for about $50. But now they've given me this dirty UA, and the whole goal of giving me the dirty UA and putting me in lockup was so I'd go to level 1 and I wouldn't be able to go to visit and get anything. They knew that somehow I was getting drugs through the visiting room. Now, the way I was doing it was my old lady was putting it in the bathroom, and this old lady was getting it out of there and handing it to her boyfriend. He was keystering it and bringing it back. I talked about that in a video or two back. But now that I can't go to visit, there's no way for her to put it in the trash can for his old lady to get it. So I can't get anything, even though I've got Shelly back. So then this black guy that works in the property room, big old brother, comes to me. And he tells me that this white lady that's working in the visiting room and him have a relationship, that they're having sex. And that he's talked her into, if I can have a package mailed, and I put it in a manila envelope with a big X on the back of it, that when it gets there, she will let him grab it and bring it to me so we can get my drugs in. So I try it. We tried it, and we sent it in, and it worked. Okay, so we get away with it a couple times. I have my old lady put the drugs. She gets that cocaine from a guy named, well, I ain't gonna say his name, but there's this black dude wanting to get cocaine in. Okay, his brother would come over there, chop it up, weigh it at my old lady's house. He'd send me an 8-ball up front for $150 when I sold it, and if I would get his brothers in for free. And that was it. And $150 in 8 balls is still, because I'm making $1,400 off of every one. That's how I'm paying Shelly's bills now. Plus that, he'll throw in a couple ounces of weed. But it wasn't really about the weed. We'd send a couple ounces of weed so we'd have some weed to smoke. But the cocaine was how we were paying our old lady's bills, how my partner was making the money. That's why he was getting it in. He was trying to save up money for a lawyer to take his case back to court. He didn't have no one to help him except for his one homeboy that would send him some dope and then hold on to his money and try to hire him a lawyer. This is his plan for how to get out of prison. And so I'm getting this stuff in, and we mail this stuff to the property room. It's coming in big manila envelopes, red X on it. Dude just picks it up, brings it down to me. I give him a quarter of it for doing it. He's breaking off the girl he's having this little relationship with, and it works good for a little while. And this dude, Brian, he's getting in debt to me for every week for $50. And I'd send my old lady by as soon as visit was over to his grandma every Friday, and she would get it. Never was a problem with it. Then one Friday after visit, she goes by. Grandma don't know anything about it. So come Monday when we have visit again, I talk to Brian. He said, oh man, I forgot. I talked to her, go by. So Monday, she goes by. Old lady don't know nothing about it. Friday, visit come, because you don't talk about this stuff on the phone. That's what gets you busted. You got to wait till you see each other in person. So Friday, the same thing. And now I'm getting aggravated at Brian. My old lady goes by, same shit. And when I call her, I say, man, because now I'm mad. We ain't talking about who, but I'm just, hey, man, how'd that go? Well, same thing. Somebody needs to hit him in the head with a ball bat. So Brian's supposed to be my friend. So go back to Brian, what the fuck is going on, man? You know what I'm saying? You keep lying to me. I've sent my girl by there 3 times. My girl said, I need to hit you in the head with a bat, man. You're supposed to be my friend. He's like, well, dude, I'm going to tell you the truth. I've been sending that money every week. My grandma don't really want to send it this time, so I think I can whip you, man. And in prison, it's hands laid, debt paid. So I think I can whip you, man. So I'm just going to fight you and call it even. And I said, what? What? So you owe me $50 and you think you're just going to whip my ass and be even? That's what you think? Dude, you got me twisted. I thought we were friends. Said, I'm going to ask you one more time. Do you really want to do that? Because I knew I could tear Brian's ass up. He ain't been in near the fights I've been in. I'd have been a McAllister and everything. He's a little bit bigger than me. And he ain't been around for all that shit I've been through. And he thinks he can whoop me, but I can tell by the way Brian moves. I can look at a man and tell how he can, if he can fight or not. I size up every man I see. And I could just tell that he was uncoordinated and slow and could not handle me. So I said, all right, Brian, I'm going to give you one more chance. I'm going to tell you what, man. I said, that hand laid, debt paid shit depends on who you owe it to. We're not going to go up there. I bruise up my knuckles and then you're even because you don't want to pay me my money. If you whoop my ass, you're even, dude. But when I whoop your ass, you're going to get my money and you're going to give me an extra 25 of that 50 for making me whoop your ass. So that's what we went up there on. We went around there behind, and Floyd happened to be up there, and I asked him to stand out there behind 6 and make sure no police came and catch us. So we go around there, and Brian starts trying to dance like he's seen something on TV, man. And I just run in there, bop, bop, 2 straight ones, picked him up, slammed him on his head, grabbed him in a headlock, started punching him in the face, and he started screaming. And I could hear Floyd laughing. And I let him back. He said, let me up, we'll go again. So I let him up. Same shit. Now he's trying to get away from me, back up, but I get a hold of him. Same shit. Picked him up, dumped him, headlock, smashing him. And so he ended up paying me my $75. Went, took him up there, made him get on the phone right now for doing that to me and call and get that money took care of. And he did. So then shortly after that, I'm getting these drugs in all the time. And I don't know who did it, but I've got Floyd hanging out with me. I've got Lil Squab hanging out with me. I got this brother named Cotton that runs with them. I'm not tight with him, but he's tight with them. So I've got them selling weed for me to the blacks. I've got this older white guy selling weed to the whites for me. And I've got this Mexican selling weed, and he's slinging it to the Mexicans and Indians. So them 3 guys are kind of buffers for me to keep me from getting caught. Because the police know I'm up to something. They said they might have left me alone if I didn't walk around smiling at them like I was getting away with something all the time. And I didn't realize I was doing that. But I think that what the deal is, when you've got a little bitty area and nobody else is getting nothing but one person, the word just gets around, man, that who's getting it and how they're getting it. And so one thing led to another. And I've told you about when you sit in the day room, how you just sit in a cubicle and you can see everyone else just sitting there on your bunk. So what happens when they call count time at 12 o'clock, you go in and you sit on your bunk. Everybody just sits there, and the guard will come through the door here, and they'll make a round, and they'll just walk around and count everybody in their cubicle, and then they'll go count the other side. Then they'll go call that in to master control. And after every unit has called in everybody and all the count is right, they'll call count clear. You can walk around in your little day room until they release you back to the yard. But this time they come in, it's called count time, and walk back around and said recount. Sometimes they do that. So we all go back to our bunks. About that time, that door opened, and in comes what we call the goon squad. These are guys from all the different, they're from the minimum security and the medium security. There's a minimum security there at Crabtree too. And they're called the SORT team or the CERT team. And they're a group of guys basically like a SWAT team in the streets. But they have shields and they have batons and they have beanbag guns and they have pepper spray. And they train together and they work out together after work and stuff. And they run in there and tackle you down and they'll rough you up. And they have the dogs with them. They have dogs so they can smell the drugs. They come in, come straight to my cell, man. Come straight there and get me. So I had a pair of shoes on my grandma had just bought me. They were a Reebok Big Hurts, a pair of black and silver ones. And that dog hits on me. Okay, so get me handcuffed behind my back. He go down there and he hits on a little squad, and he hits on Floyd, and he hits on Brian. So they get all of us, and they take us all up to what's called central control, where the main yard is at, where they keep count. And people come in and out when the guards come to work, in and out. That's where they go. It's through master control. And they take us all up there and put us against that wall, and they go straight to my shoes, take my shoes off, got me standing there barefooted, hand them around the corner. Right when you have a pair of shoes, Reebok Big Hurts, right there where the first string goes across, I took a razor blade and put a little slice right there that you couldn't even see. And then I slid my weed and this cocaine up in them shoes. And I had the weed in one shoe, cocaine in the other. And the dog hit on the weed, but he didn't hit on the cocaine. So they found the weed and take me up and lock me up. Okay, so I'm up in lockup now, and there's a whole bunch of shit about to go down with that. And that's where we're going to pick up the next video. That's a good spot for me to pick. I'm right back in lockup again. Now I've had somebody pulled hands laid, debt paid on me, but I whipped him, so he had paid me 75. It's the only time that I've ever had a fight just like that, where someone just said it wasn't going to pay me and I had to fight them for it. I never had that happen before, and I never had it happen again. I've had people try me. We'll get to some of those, but never just like that, where a friend of mine just decided he's going to whip my ass and not pay me. But it doesn't always work that way. And so I wanted to talk to you about Crash Test Dummy. So you remember not to let people make you make it worse for you, brother. Don't ever let no one make you make it worse for you. And I hope that you listen to some of these stories and you think about all the things I went through, and you realize that life really isn't that bad, man. All you really need is something to drink and eat, and air to breathe, a spot to sleep where you're safe and no one's going to harm you. That's all you really need. And the last thing you want to do is give up your freedom. Your freedom should mean everything to you. You miss years around the people that you love, and you can't get them back. So I hope you'll think about that. Not the bad. Remember to pick up your blessings, throw down those curses, man. And I hope to see you in the next one. Peace out.